My name's Stan Nabozny. I hold 150 IGFA world records. I'm here with my friend Mark Longster, and we're fishing for tarpon in West Africa. What I'm going to do is walk you through the setup for big tarpon in West Africa using a fly rod. First consideration is your fly. Now, as you can see, I tie my own flies, and this fly right here, I don't know, Mark, if you can get a good shot here, but this fly here is tied with a circle hook. Now, what I'm using here is a Mustad Ultra Point, and your hook selection is important because tarpon have a very strong bite pressure, and I've had tarpon bite the hook so hard that they break it right there at the barb. So you want something with a little heavier wire, and this is an 8/0 Mustad Ultra Point. Now, what I try to do with my fly, as you have noticed here, it's not one of those huge tarpon flies that you see in West Africa. And the reason is, I try to match the size of the bait with the fly. So, this is your typical bait right here. It's called a yaboy. And you can see this and the fly together. It's a pretty good match in terms of size. And that's what you want to try to do, is you want to try to match the size of the bait to the fly. I think that's the most important consideration. So they eat these herring here like they're candy. So, you know, the favorite bait, whatever it is in the area, you try to match the fly to it. Now, this particular fly, the construction of it, it's real simple. I have some mylar underneath to give it some flash. I have some white bucktail material, and I have a lot of flash. You wouldn't be fishing with this fly in Texas or in Florida for tarpon. It's a little too big and it's a little too flashy. But here, the water is not all that clear. It's gray, it's dingy. You want something with a little bit of flash, about the same size of the bait that you would typically see in the river that the tarpon eat. Now, and I use an epoxy head, that way this fly, I can use it on multiple fish. Now, because I fish for records, I'm limited to 12 inches of bite tippet. And what I have here is a 100-pound bite tippet. This is Seaguar. And I'm using a special knot here to tie the heavy leader to the class tippet. This is 16-pound class tippet. I'm limited to 15 inches. This is actually more than that. This is probably 24. And the most important part of this is the part of the line that's going to have abrasion right here from rubbing on the tarpon's back. So whatever you're going to do with a tarpon, you're going to have to land this fish within 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, this line is going to not be 16 pounds. It's probably going to be about half the strength of where you originally started. I do a loop-to-loop connection right here. After the loop-to-loop connection, I have straight 50-pound test. And then I go to my main line. And when I fish in West Africa, what I do is I fish near the bottom, 10 feet off the bottom with my fly, depending upon the depth of water. Here we're fishing in about 40 feet, so I'm going to be down about 35 feet. And this line here is, I'm trying to remember, this is airflow. This is the big game airflow line. And this is 800 grain airflow fly line. So this will sink 12 inches a second. And of course, I have this set up in terms of rod and reel. I have a very, very large reel. This is called a Tibor Pacific. Now, you might say, why such a big reel? This isn't sailfish or marlin fishing. One crank is 12 inches. Now, I prefer to do that because I can control the line better with a big reel. So this is how I fish for tarpon. Even when I'm fishing in Florida, I use a big reel. And this is the older model of the Tibor Pacific. It has a very nice drag control. So I can adjust this drag from 4 pounds all the way up to, say, 20 pounds. And so this allows me to control the line, and I can retrieve the line very quickly if I have to. And because I'm using such a heavy grain fly line, what I have here is a Cam Sigler 8-foot, 16-17 weight fly rod. So this allows me to put a good 12 pounds of pressure on this fish without much of an effort. And you're going to be on a fish for, you know, an hour and a half to 2 hours on a fly rod, a big fish. So what you want to do is do yourself a favor and not have yourself work so hard. So even though this is maybe a little bit of overkill, it's a lot easier to manage the line and manage the fish on a heavyweight fly rod like this, especially if you're fishing in 40 feet of water. And I'm trying to think, Mark, what have I forgotten?